Hello, it's Dawn Michelle and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you a spread that is totally just for fun. Now, I'm sure you could totally use this for serious situations, and maybe if I had different decks, I might be more inclined to lean that way. But this was a spread that I actually created after kind of having a play with all three of these decks that we're going to be using, because each of these three decks kind of lent themselves to the position that I created in this spread. And I thought it would be really fun to share it in a video, because a lot of times I do create spreads or particular activities or practices that come out of the work with the particular deck that I'm doing. So let's talk about each one of these real quick in case, like, I don't know, you've not seen them before, although I'm pretty sure like I know I've shown all of them on my channel. These two I recently showed in my Good Moods decks tag video, and I really should have included the zombie tarot, but I didn't. So this is the Curious Creatures, Tarot of the Curious Creatures, which is really new to my collection, but I gotta be honest, like new as in this month, it hasn't left my table. Not once at all this month. I have pulled cards from this deck daily, and that's kind of where this whole idea came from, because I was pulling three cards from this particular deck every single day, and it was giving me this nice fun little message for the day, and I thought, oh well, that's great. But it has a similar kind of vibe, that kind of vintagey, collagey, just kind of looking at things through a different lens. And so I was like, maybe I could pair that with my other two decks that feel very much that way too. This is the Housewives Tarot, and again, has the same kind of energy to it. It's also a good mood deck for me. I absolutely love this deck. It does make me laugh, but it does reflect a little bit more of kind of what's going on maybe in the real world, or right, what's going on really within me, whereas the Curious Creatures really gives me just that lighter side, that kind of don't take yourself too seriously kind of energy. And then we have the Zombie Tarot, which again has that same kind of energy. It's a definitely a good mood deck for me. I totally should have included it. I love this deck. It has a lot of humor, but I do find that for me personally, it's not a novelty deck. There is a lot of depth here, and it definitely shows kind of that darker underside of life. So, I mean, kind of that shadowy energy, right? So all three of these decks kind of have that type of a feel for me. And so I started kind of playing with them together, and that's where this spread evolved from. So let me go ahead and show you how it works. And actually, we'll just flip the decks over, because we don't even need to, like, I've already shuffled. We don't really need to like do a whole thing. I just want you to see kind of how these worked and what I was using it for and how I've been using it. You can certainly do this with any three decks, but for me, it's kind of these three decks in particular, the voice, the aesthetic, the energy of these three decks in particular, that really kind of make this spread work for me. In the middle, we have the Housewives Tarot, and this is the deck that I'm using to kind of represent a situation, if I have a certain situation in mind, or just like, this is my energy for the day. We could also see this very much in this is the what to focus on, what to embrace, and what to release. That works beautifully for this. And that is kind of the underlying energy of this reading. It's kind of like, here's what's going on. Here's what we're gonna focus on. We can bring this lighter side, kind of more of that whimsical energy to it. Can we look at it through a positive lens? And then maybe what's the deeper lesson here that we're going to learn through this experience, or through tapping into this particular energy? But we can also look at it as, you know, what to focus on, what to release, and what to embrace. That is one of my favorite 3-card spreads, and the one that I most often use. So it's kind of that underneath it all, but I've modified it to be kind of like, this is what you need to kind of focus on or be aware of. This is reflecting the lighter side of that, and this reflects the shadow side of that. So we have death in the middle here, right? Transition, change. This card cracks me up. All of these decks crack me up. So like for good mood decks, these are all great good mood decks too. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm also enjoying this particular 3-card reading with these 3 particular decks, because they do all 3 put me in a good mood. So it's hard for me to come away from a reading like this and be pissy about life. So we have death, we have that transition, that change. On the lighter side of that, we have the 9 of Cups. So we have kind of that full feeling of maybe that death, that transformation energy that's going to be moving around today is going to bring a lot of contentment and satisfaction. And then the shadow side of that is the King of Cups. So that's going to maybe allow us to tap into what's going on beneath the surface when we go through this transformative change. It's going to bring about all those good feelings, but it's also going to bring this depth, that change beneath the surface, which is really cool. And I'm just going to flip through a couple of these and we'll talk about them, because like this is just, it's so much fun to me, and I really enjoy kind of looking at it through these very particular lenses. So we have the situation, or the energy is the Fool. So that new adventure, I love the depictions in these decks. She's got all of her things, although they're kind of flying out of her bag as she's hurrying, out of the house essentially. And we can see in the lighter side of this, we have the King of Cups. So maybe we're looking at, and clearly I'm not using any of the guidebooks. I'm strictly going off my own tarot knowledge and very much intuitively how I see these cards and what they're telling me. This King of Cups, like, man, he's all kind of like, he's a little bit relaxed, but he's ready to go. He's kind of trying to tell me that, yeah, you need to get your stuff together. You need to go. But maybe you need to do so in a more mindful manner, right? Don't be rushing through things so quickly. Kind of take your time, figure out what it is you need to take with you as you're going on this new adventure. Kind of get a hold of your emotional state there. You might be a little bit out of control. And you as in me, or whoever the reading is for, right? I only read for myself, so they're always for me. And then over here in the shadow side of things, we have the Ace of Wands. So we have the potential of the wand suit. It's kind of telling me, like, if you could get your crap together and you could kind of bring all that emotional energy into focus, you'll have the potential to create this energy of the wands here. Again, just so fun. So we have our focus is the 8 of Pentacles, and then we have the moon as the light side and the sun as the shadow. It's always interesting to me when the sun shows up in a shadow position, which happened to me really recently. So that 8 of Pentacles, what you're going to focus on, you're going to be focusing on the work that you're doing. But you need to remember that the lighter side of that is kind of just like channeling this inner passion, and you're going to just kind of go for it. That's the lighter side. That's the happy side. That's the let your inner wolf just kind of howl in what you're making. But in this particular sun card in the shadow side of things, I kind of get that feeling of be careful of letting things just kind of be overblown, right? Too bright, too much. That's kind of the sun in a shadow position for me. It's just kind of overwhelmed, too much of that energy. And so to me, this is saying you got to balance between those two things. So really cool. We don't need to do like a ton of readings, but I just kind of wanted to flip through these and to see, kind of how this little reading has been working for me. I love this because we have 2 chariots. This is, I think, one of the kind of interesting things about using multiple tarot decks for a reading is that sometimes you get repeating cards. And for me, that really that means that energy is real powerful right now. It's definitely drawing your attention. So we have the Chariot, both sides here as our focus point. You decide where we're going, right? You decide where you're going, what you're doing. You have the choice, you have the willpower. And I love this Chariot in shadow too, because then it kind of is warning us a little bit of like, be mindful about where you're going. Yeah, you've got free will to go wherever it is that you want to go, but is that somewhere you should be going? So I kind of see that. And then we have the Five of Pentacles over here on the lighter side. And maybe this is saying you need to take a moment and really think about what it is that you're doing moving forward, because that might not be the best option for you. So really interesting how these decks kind of really all work together and read together. So I'll just flip through a couple of them so you can kind of see how this little 3-card reading works. So we have the Six of Swords as our focus, the Five of Wands for our light, and Temperance for our shadow. Always interesting. Our Page of Cups for our focus, our Ace of Swords in our light, and our Knight of Cups in our shadow. That zombie tarot, man. These decks in general, this card cracks me up every time I see it. And that, again, I think I already said it, but that's one of the things that I love about this particular little play spread. It is a very, it's a serious spread. I mean, I don't throw these cards down and be like, haha, that's funny, and then go on with my day. I actually think about it. I don't make decisions based on the cards that hit my table. I think that's real important to stipulate. I always do what I think is best, what resonates for me. I always follow my inner voice. I do not let a tarot card sway me one way or the other. If it's telling me, to do one thing and I'm like, yeah, no, deep inside of me, I know that's wrong, then what I look at is why am I seeing it that way? It's not that I need to do it that way. It's that I need to be aware of why I'm making the decisions that I'm making and why I'm seeing that particular card in a particular way. That's a total tangent and a total topic for another time. But in a situation like this, where I'm looking at kind of cards that I pull at the start of the day, which is kind of when I've been doing this, is looking at, this is my focal point for the day, and then this is the light and shadow of it. That doesn't mean that I am wrapped into that particular way of being. It doesn't mean that if I pull the Tower card that I'm gonna have a Tower day. To me, all that means is that there's gonna be an opportunity for me to shake things up a little bit, to make some changes. If I get the Ten of Cups, that doesn't mean that as my focus point, that doesn't mean that my day is gonna be perfect and beautiful and wonderful all the way around, especially because I got the Tower over here. So what I would be looking at in this sense is more of what my focus needs to be is kind of trying to tap into that Ten of Cups energy so that I can withstand those Tower moments, so that I can get on the boat and get away from whatever it is that's, causing any sort of disruption in my life. Clearly, I'm not, diving real deep into these, but I just think it's important to point that out, that I never let a tarot card tell me what to do is really what it comes down to. And if I feel like a card or a reading really doesn't resonate with something that's going on for me, I'm okay with leaving it on the table and walking away and going, that's not working for me. And generally it's not because of the cards on the table. It generally is because of where I'm at, the mindset that I'm in. If I'm in a bad mindset, if I'm not open to messages and interpretations, if I don't have an open mind and an open heart, then my readings don't tend to go very well. So it is more about me and the state of mind that I am, and it's not about so much using these cards as a predictor for my day or my life. I can get that King of Wands and know that maybe I need to just pull a little bit of that King of Wands energy into my day, whatever it is that happens throughout a day. I can make sure that I'm approaching any of the sort of challenges that I might have, with a little bit of humor when I'm moving through my day, making sure that I'm not moving through my day or just flying through my day without intention. So, it's things like that. That's kind of how I do a sort of daily reading, or a kind of here's my energy, my focus, or maybe what to release, what to embrace, right? All of those sorts of things that we hear about quite often when we're talking about readings, particularly readings for a day ahead. There are people who do read tarot very, very predictively, and I think that that's fantastic. And there are occasions when my cards do feel a bit predictive, and they do tend to kind of embody what happens in a day, but I never let it be the thing that cultivates it. And meaning that if I get an 8 of Swords for my focus point, I don't go through my day looking for those 8 of Swords moments. I just keep in mind that maybe I might have some things today that's going to challenge some of my beliefs, or maybe I'm going to get a little too wrapped up in my own head today, and I just need to be aware of that, right? That's very much how I use tarot on a daily basis. I'm very much into the using tarot for personal growth and deep reflection, but for me, tarot is a mirror, so it doesn't tell me what to do. It just mirrors back what I already know, what I already feel, what I already think. And I guess that's a much deeper discussion for another time, and probably not a discussion to have while you are looking at decks such as these. But I think it's important to know, because we're talking about a spread that I use to start my day. And I think it's important to note that that's kind of how that goes for me. The tarot doesn't tell me what to do, right? Like, seriously, nobody tells me what to do. I do what I want. But I do like to use the tarot in this way sometimes to kind of just give me a general sense of what might the energy be today, or what energy might I want to pull into my day or need to pull into my day. I've got the 2 of Cups and the Lovers here, so, you know, and the Emperor. So maybe this is telling me, hey, you might want to be a little bit more mindful of your relationships today. Put a little extra effort into it, but like, don't go overboard, right? Again, it's not telling me what to do for today. It's not telling me how to be today. It's just helping me become aware of some things that might help me navigate my day in a positive way. And so I feel like it's real important to speak to that when it comes to talking about, you know, using tarot on a daily basis. So I've really been enjoying this particular 3-card pairing. I feel like, yeah, the energies really, really do line up together. You know, this Tarot of Curious Creatures, I was not like on board with it when I first saw it come out. I was like, no, that's not for me. That's not for me. But I tell you, man, it has not left my table, and it really is a good mood deck, and it does make me happy. It makes me giggle whenever I look at it. There have been a couple times where I've been in a crappy mood, so I've pulled this deck out and been like, okay, little creatures, you know, help me kind of see the lighter side of this situation. And that's really how this deck has developed for me over the last couple weeks, is just being able to find that lighter side of the situation and kind of find the humor in it. The Housewives Tarot it's like one of my oldest decks. I love the 7 of Pentacles. It has such a great energy to it. I have a lot of decks that have this kind of vintagey collage feel, or vintage collage style, but this deck has a totally different kind of energy than they do. This deck is very playful, it's very fun, but it's also very down to earth. And I find it like to be really great for really practical things. And when I'm looking at what kind of a practical energy do I need throughout my day, like this is one of the decks that I go to, because it's really, really fantastic for that. I've also mentioned it's like the only deck that when I'm done working with it, I put it back in order and I put it back in its box, because it comes like in a recipe box, and that's just cute. But while I'm currently working with it this month, it's just kind of hanging out on my table. Then we have the Zombie Tarot, which like I feel like is kind of an underrated deck in a sense, because like for me personally, in my collection, because like I only ever really pull it out in October, and I get real excited to work with it in October. And in fact, I've rehomed lots of other kind of spooky Halloween-y type decks, because like there's this one and there's one other one that I'm like, I wait all year to work with those decks. Whereas the other one feels, which is the Madame Lydia's, that one feels very tied into the Samhain October season for me. This deck actually, it works year round. I can pull this deck at any time, and it's great at it does totally give me a laugh. I mean, I'm not even kidding about that. Like, it makes me giggle when I get this deck out, which is why I'm kind of sad I didn't include it in my Good Moods deck, but I'll say it here again. It's a good mood deck for me, but It's also really great at helping me kind of see the underlying energy, the underlying things going on in a particular situation or a particular way that I'm feeling or something that I'm thinking. It's really enlightening in that way. And so, yeah, I think it's really cool and I really enjoy working with it. I love all three of these decks. I didn't think I was going to love this one, y'all, but I really do. And these three decks have kind of been hanging out with me for the last couple of weeks, just being my 3-card daily card pull, just to kind of give me, yeah, a nice little start to my day. So I just wanted to share that and kind of, I don't know, let's just have a little fun with tarot, because like it doesn't have to be all serious all the time. And sometimes I like to get my decks out and I like to play with them too. And this is one of the ways that I've been playing with these 3 decks in particular this month, is pulling them for a little bit of an energetic reading with the focus of what I need right now, the lighter side and the shadow side of it. And it's been fantastic. So again, the 3 decks that I was working with today is the Curious Creatures Tarot, the Housewives Tarot, and the Zombie Tarot. I'll have links for all 3 decks in the description box below for you. As always, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.